Welcome friends to another r/prorevenge video. As always, if you enjoy this video, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. Our first story of the day is by The Real Bright Spark. Call me a witch? I'll show you one. This is fairly small. I was at Walmart before I stopped going because my local Walmart's absolutely terrible trying to park. I found a spot fairly close to the door, but it had a few carts in it. I pulled partway into the spot, collected all the carts, and dropped them in the corral. Now this whole time, some lady's trying to inch into that spot that I just finished clearing, so I jump back in my car and zip into the spot all the way. She loses her ever-loving mind and starts screaming and cussing me out, going on about how much of a lazy witch I am for stealing her spot. I ignore her, grab my 2-year-old, and watch her rage park all the way at the end of the row. Seriously, people will circle this parking lot for 10 minutes to avoid having to walk an extra few feet. I'm still collecting the kids, 2 and 4 years old. She comes up behind me and keeps complaining about me to her friend, super loud, trying to make sure I hear her. See, I only needed a couple of things right at the front, and she drove a very unique Camaro. I hurried through the store and moved my car across from hers so I could keep an eye on the littles. Then I proceeded to box her car in with every single cart from the nearby corrals. I left a note on the cart in front of her door that said, "You can move them this time, witch." I cannot stand unprovoked rudeness. So in your guys' opinions, did OP do a little too much here by boxing them in with those carts? Or do you think this is an absolutely appropriate amount of revenge? Let me know in the comments down below. This next story is by Fallon Dorn, School Bully Payback in a Passive Way. My old CDT teacher told us about when he was at school, there was a dorky kid who used to turn up with a leather satchel hanging low off his shoulder. Most morning, a bully would run up and take a soccer kick at the satchel from behind, sending it sailing high, scattering contents around the playground. Apparently one day, this kid had had enough, and either he or his dad filled it with house bricks. That bully took a running kick as usual, and you can imagine what happened. Don't know the story after, but it would have been in the 60s, so I can't imagine much happened to the satchel kid. I mean, it definitely hurt a lot for that bully. It might have been a bit much, but honestly, if I was the kid and every single day I had to experience this bully kicking my stuff, I'd want to fill it up with house bricks too. I definitely don't think there's any shame in admitting that. This next story is by We're a Full Soul. You'll only be 5 minutes? Guess you're waiting 2 hours. This happened a few years back when I was a first-year heavy-duty mechanical apprentice. I had just started working my shop's evening shift, 12:30 to 9 p.m., because one of our other apprentices had just gone off to school, so I took his shift. Now at this point we were understaffed, which is why I took his shift. So on this particular Friday evening, at around 6 p.m., I was all alone at the shop, except for one person up front in our parts department. Everyone else, including my boss, has gone home. Now, our yard is way too small for the amount of work we take in, so I had just spent about 15 minutes shuffling trucks around to clear a space so I could bring my job for the evening up to the shop so I could work on it. Right as I'm about to pull into the spot I just cleared, a customer pulls into the spot and parks. Not a big deal, this happens all the time. It annoys me, but nobody ever stops it. So I get out and get his attention, asking him politely to move his truck. I have work to get done. He brushes me off, saying he just needs to grab one thing from parts and he'll be out in 2 minutes. So, more firmly, I said, "Can you please move? There's available parking out front of the shop." Again, he brushes me off and just walks inside. Now I'm annoyed, but whatever. I go grab some water and start collecting an air jack and the stands I'll need to do the brakes. After about 5 minutes, he still hasn't moved, so I walk up front and see him just yapping with the parts guy. I remind him that he's in the spot I need, and he waves me off and says something along the lines of, "The adults are talking, kid." So I say screw it and go back out, park my job right behind his truck, and take the wheels off. I had 4 wheels of brakes to do, which would normally be about an hour, except during this I found a leaking wheel seal on one of the wheels, which added an hour. I get the wheels off, the truck's on stands, and it's been about a half an hour at this point when he walks back outside and sees what I've done. He starts complaining about how he has things to do and why the freak would you block me in, to which I looked at him and said, "I have stuff to do too," and went back to work and ignored him. The reason I didn't just park somewhere else is because everyone and their mother drops their trucks off Friday night for weekend servicing, so the yard was packed. And I had already rearranged it to make a space for me, and there was free parking up front that I had informed him about, and he still parked in my way. He ended up coming back a few days later and whining to my boss, but once I explained my side, my boss just told me not to do that again, but admitted it was pretty funny. I don't know what the guy expected. OP basically warned them multiple times that they needed to move, and told them there was perfectly good parking up front. I don't really see how the guy could act all surprised or complain when OP was saying that they need that spot, and half an hour later they come out and see, well, OP's in that spot. Just happens to be behind you because he didn't move. Our next story is by Mustard Unavailable. You want it all? Go ahead and clean me out. This happened around 2010. This involves my elderly Aunt Dana and her housemate/girlfriend Kathy. Kathy died and her family wanted all of her possessions. Now, Kathy was hated by her family because she was a proud lesbian who became a career woman and never got married to a white man. Yeah, her family were Bible-thumping homophobes and racists, but you wouldn't know it because they hid it well. While Kathy was in the hospital and in palliative care, none of her family members visited her and only did once they thought she'd die, and they tried to have her sign everything away to them. They didn't even bother with her funeral, but that was for the best because Kathy was surrounded by those that truly loved her. Now after the funeral, her family went in and took all of her possessions, and my Aunt Dana showed them all she had owned. Knowing that in her later years, Kathy became a collector, so the family members got giddy because they should be valuable because she spent her entire pension and savings on them. As they got several trucks and even a U-Haul van filled, they got even giddier and even tried to get items that belonged to Aunt Dana. Some little shouting matches happened, but they left happy and smug. And Aunt Dana laughed her butt off as they drove away, because the revenge was complete. You see, Kathy knew when time was up, and she also knew her family were greedy jerks who'd try to take anything and everything she owned. So she made sure that they'd be the ones to clean up her mess after she died. She gave away anything valuable to her friends. I got a cool watch from her, and in turn, they gave her useless junk and she'd make it look pretty. She filled her bedroom, which she wasn't using anymore, with everything she got, cleaned them all up and made them look presentable. Most of the items her family took were useless junk. Even the high-tech looking ones were either broken or just knockoffs. Same goes for her jewelry and clothes. The designer bags were nothing more than fakes. Aunt Dana told me how they would call her to complain about the supposed expensive items not worth anything, and how they felt that some items must have been left behind. Aunt Dana also had them take the stuff she didn't want and needed to throw away. She watched as these greedy idiots cleaned her house for free and was just waiting to have a good whine and laugh about it. I mean, it's a good revenge, but it's so sad to see that when Kathy was going through the worst of it, they had to make sure that they were planning actively to prevent anybody from their family trying to steal all this valuable stuff when they never even really gave a care about Kathy to begin with. Our next story is by Fat Wop. Nothing big. So I'm a very petty person IRL, and this happened when I was in summer camp. I was only around 5 at the time. Note, there's a water park near the camp, and this will be important later. So there was this annoying jerk who we'll call Julian, and he was an absolute jerk. He would always find something that he was supposedly better than everyone else at, and would find joy in making trouble. Once he kicked a glass wall, though it didn't break luckily since it was rather sturdy. So one day I was eating some snacks that I don't remember, and he marches up and demands them, so I refuse, and he gets pissed and tries to grab them, so I push his hand away. And suddenly he tries to hit me. So now the two of us are just fighting, sissy fighting, we were only 5, and so that person supervising just tries to stop us and asks me to share because of some crappy thought process, so he gets some, and now I'm mad. Later that day, we go to the water park and everyone's hyped, but now I have a plan. I grab his bag and put it over one of the sprinklers. It gets soaked. Now Julian has all his toys, snacks, and clothes soaked, and I saw him raging to the supervisor about how they should find the idiot, new word for 5-year-old me, who did it. But all that really happened was him not allowed to go to the water park for saying a bad word. Still makes me smile. Our next story is by LunaWolf92. Racist and aggressive bully gets poison ivy. When I was about 10 years old, we moved to Pennsylvania. I'm Mexican and still had some trouble with English, but was like 99% fluent. Just not enough to avoid this bully. He chased me around calling me slurs and asking me if the Rio Grande is refreshing. After a discussion with my parents about it, They just said it's an insecure boy saying mean things his parents taught him and to just ignore him. If he got physical, my dad told me not to do any of that just tell the teacher crap. He said, if that boy hits you, you hit back harder, you have my permission. After some more insults, he realized he wasn't getting a response like he wanted, so he decided to get physical. He shoved me and picked up a clump of poison ivy with his sweater. This wasn't a big deal because I was faster than him, but my best friend wasn't. He went after her, so I tackled him to the ground, his face landing on the very poison ivy he was holding. I straddled him and rubbed his face in it. He cried and never looked in my direction or laid a finger on me or my friend. It's been 18 years and I'm still not sorry. Yeah, listen, you chase me or my friends around with poison ivy, I'm not forgiving you either. I don't care if you just accidentally fall yourself face first into that poison ivy, you're not getting any sympathy from me. And kudos to OP's dad, not necessarily for the giving an okay on violence thing, but just teaching OP that it's okay to stand up for yourself and have a backbone. But most importantly, teaching you that violence is never the answer, but sometimes it is. And our final story of the day is by Urban Jaguar, embarrassing a self-important coworker in front of a customer. Years ago, I worked with this guy I'll call John. We were both part of a team doing software development at a customer site, and while John was generally a good guy and better than average at his job, he had some quirks that could be irritating, and at times downright infuriating. One of them was that he loved to come into work and brag about the latest fancy tech he'd bought for himself, or the restored vintage car he'd just acquired or whatever. Note that while all of us made good money, John was brought in as a consultant to be the tech lead of the project, and he made significantly more money than the rest of us, so his bragging was essentially just rubbing our faces in this fact, whether he meant to or not. The last straw came when he got his latest gadget, a fancy new phone. This phone was not only a phone, it worked as a pager too, and you could even read and write emails on it. All email back then was plain text only. That's obviously tame by today's standards, but trust me, that was some cutting-edge hot stuff back in those days. And John went on and on about it, showing us all the cool things his phone could do. Well, another irritating habit John had was that almost all of the conversations he had on his office desk phone were on speakerphone. That'd be somewhat forgivable if we all had our own offices, but this was a cubicle farm. Dude, we get it, you're Mr. Important, a hotshot consultant, blah blah blah, enough already. So one day John has a customer in his cube to show the guy some stuff we're working on for him. Suddenly his fancy new phone goes off, John checks it, and he's been paged. Well, John tells the customer in a self-important tone, I don't recognize this number, but it's an 800 number, so it's probably important, and I'd better call back right away to see what this is about. True to form, John fires up his desk phone on speaker and dials the number. The other side picks up, and this comes out of the speaker for the customer, and all of the office to hear. Thank you for calling 1-800-ASK-FOR-BUTT, the only line you need for hot butt action. Needless to say, John couldn't end the call fast enough. I think he almost threw his back out diving for the button on the phone. If you're wondering, yes, I was the one who sent him that page, and no, I don't think he ever figured out that I was the one who did it. I wish I could say that this act of petty revenge taught him a lesson and had a positive effect on his behavior. But alas, it didn't. C'est la vie. At least I got a treasured memory out of it. Thank you for calling 1-800-ASK-FOR-BUTT, the only line you need for hot butt action. Just a very polite, prospective customer sitting there like, oh, this is all the stuff you're doing for me? Oh, you got a phone call? Oh, okay, go ahead. 1-800-ASK-FOR-BUTT. Yeah, so do you think that maybe I could be assigned to a different software developer? Nothing to do with you. I don't really care what you do with butts, but maybe you got somebody else in this company that doesn't take those kinds of calls in front of a customer? In all seriousness, I can only imagine John laying in bed staring at the ceiling, hands folded over his chest, having PTSD flashbacks of every moment they pick up a phone call or a page comes through and they think about 1-800-ASK-FOR-BUTTS. But with that being said, that's a wrap on another bunch of stories here today. As always, if you guys have any favorite videos of this bunch, let me know which one in the comments down below and why. And if you enjoyed the stories in general, if you could subscribe to this channel, it'd mean a lot to me. I make these videos daily, and it's by far and away the best way to support my channel. So no matter what you did, whether it was subscribing or liking, leaving a comment, I just appreciate the heck out of you guys. And as always, I'll be back tomorrow with even more stories right here on the Storytime channel.